Today's video is going to be all about healthcare in Spain. Undoubtedly, one of the first things and one of the major things you need to think about when you're thinking of moving to a different country, one of the biggest consideration is healthcare and how much it's going to cost you in your new country. Now, when we left the US, this was one of the major things that we actually talked about. And I was looking not just for a low cost of living somewhere, but I was looking for good healthcare and where we could get it. And Malta, filled both of those important considerations. On the blog, I actually remember a few years ago, because I went to the ER in Malta, the ER, and actually my cost was $35 out the door. Like that was the cost of my treatment. And I remember, like, when I went to pay, and I was asking how much it was, and they're like, "Do you have insurance?" And I said, "No." And they were like, "Oh my God, like it's going to be super expensive." So I was really stunned when they gave me a €35 bill, and I was very happy, needless to say, because in the U.S., everybody knows without insurance, first of all, they probably wouldn't have seen you, and second of all, you would have had to pay money up front or figure out a way to do it, a credit card or what have you. So in Spain, I will tell you how much we pay for our health insurance, and I think it'll make you very happy if this is one of the countries you're considering moving to. In the U.S., well, first I'll tell you about how much we're paying in the U.S. I was working for a very big pharmacy chain store, and my portion of the health insurance was $270 a month. We got paid every 2 weeks, so they would deduct half of that from my paycheck, and that basically covered, my doctor's visits with a $20 copay, and this was for both me and my husband Federico. So that we had $100 ER fee to pay if we had to go to the ER, and if it was an urgent care, it was $50. And we also, on top of that, had 3,500 towards hospital bills or what have you. So basically, if you went to the hospital, the first 3,500 would be ours, and then after that, the insurance kicks in for like 80%. So of course, I think I was a little bit traumatized, and I didn't go to the doctor as much because obviously you don't want to have to pay that much money. So it was always something in the back of your mind not to get sick and not to go to the doctor, and so it was quite a difference when we were in Malta. Now that we're living in Spain, we have one of the many companies that offer health insurance. Now, there's two ways of looking at it. When you file for your papers to move here for a long stay visa, sorry, you can hear my dog drinking really loudly in the background. Sorry about that. When you apply for a visa, you need to have a health insurance plan that has no copay. So sin copago is what you need. This is going to be a lot more expensive than the one we have. When we first applied for our papers, that cost us 1,844 euros a year for the both of us. Now, since that expired, we had that for the first year because we have a visa now for 5 years. We have a long-term visa for 5 years. After the first year, we didn't need to stay on that. So we switched to a much cheaper insurance plan, which is like the low tier one. And we pay, currently, we pay $78.60 euro a month for the both of us. Now you ask yourself, what kind of coverage can you get for that? Well, it actually does offer a lot. Like I said, this is the bottom one. There's like 4 tiers of the insurance with the company that we have. And this one is the one with the highest copay. When we go to the doctor, we pay 12 euros copay every time we go to the doctor. If we go to the ER, it's 0. If we go to, I'm sorry, if we go to urgent care, it's 20 euros. If you go to the hospital in an emergency, it's zero. And if you go like to, on your own steam and you go to the ER, then it's 50 euros. And everything is pretty much covered. Even basic dentistry, which we didn't have in the US, that cost me a little bit extra a month also, but it wasn't really that much. But it was basic coverage. And this one also has basic coverage included in that 78 euros that we pay every month. Like for instance, the dental cleaning is 6 euros copay, and tooth extraction is zero. Highest amount of money that we have to pay for any copay for going to the doctor or what have you is for oncology. Like if you have a cancer diagnosis, your copay will be $300 towards your health care, and it's unlimited. There is no limit to how much they pay, but you have to pay the first 300 euros. Now, like I said, this is the bottom. There's 4 tiers of the insurance. So you can take, the next tier or what have you, where the copay is like 2 euros and 95 cents. And then you have the top tier, which is zero. And the other middle one is like €1.65. But for us, paying 12 euros for when we go to the doctor is like no big deal. Actually, we've had to use it. So you say, you wonder how the healthcare is. Is it good? And it's very good. I mean, I don't know if you know, but Spain is one of the higher rated health insurance, with good health insurance for the country. Much better than the US. I think the US is like 30 something and Spain is like in the top 10. So we have had really excellent care in the hospital and in the doctor's office. Fede had to get something done because he was having reflux and they wanted to check him out. And he needed some sort of, I don't remember if it was an MRI or what have you. And he had to get a prior authorization. Now, when you hear prior authorization in the US, you're just like, oh my God, because the insurance company is not going to pay for it. And as a pharmacist, I dealt with that all the time. So I was half expecting them not to pay, but believe it or not, it actually took us longer to find a parking spot in the area where the office was located. It took us about, 15 minutes of driving around to find a parking spot. And it took about 30 seconds for the for the prior authorization. You give them the paper from the doctor, they look at it, stamp it, and boom, you're good to go with the number on it. And it was just amazing. Another time he had to go to the ER because he was having some sort of viral infection. And within 10 minutes, you go in, they give you an insurance card like this one. I'm going to block out the insurance company's name because I'm not shilling for them. But it looks just like a credit card. And on the back, it's got the stripe. So you go to the hospital or the clinic or what have you. They ask you for your card, and they just swipe it through just like a regular credit card. Now, it already has the information direct from the insurance company. So you don't have to fill out any forms of your insurance company, your address, your this, your that. So you give them that, they swipe it, they give you, they tell you where to go. And then you get there, you look at the screen, you pick out you get a ticket, and they give you a little band around your wrist, and then you just look at the screen and wait for your number to be called. So went to the ER, within 10-15 minutes we were in the doctor's office. He looked at him and he said, you're breaking out, there's some sort of viral infection. But he was complaining because his eyes were hurting so bad. So the doctor called the ophthalmology department and they told him to come in. We went straight there to the next building. He saw the doctor within like 5 minutes and they sent him back, and he had to go through to another different office. But it was bam, bam, bam. One calls the other, you go and you see them. So it wasn't like you had to come back with another appointment. It was just done. So at the end of the day, they diagnosed viral infection. They gave him the prescriptions, and we were at the door. And our copay was 20 euros, which I was surprised because it was the ER, but I guess they counted as urgent care or something. But we only had to pay 20 euros for that. So I'm not sure if it was supposed to be 50 and I missed it, but I doubt they would make that sort of mistake. So anyway, that was one of the times that we went to. And then just recently, about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I went to see the eye doctor thinking that I needed newer glasses or stronger glasses because I wasn't seeing out of one eye as much as I was before. And this happened shortly before the lockdown, so I've been dealing with it since March when we went into lockdown. But since the offices opened back up, I went and called them. I went to see the doctor. I got an appointment in about 8 days, I think, from when I called. So I went in, saw the doctor within like 10 minutes, and he tells me I've got cataracts. I'm like, what? You know, that's for old people. I'm not really old. And he's like, well, guess what? After 40, you know, you can get cataracts, and it's something that comes with age, and so you just have to deal with it. I'm like, oh, shit, you know, oh, sorry. I'm like, oh, I didn't like that very much, but there you go. So he's like, well, the one in your right eye is really bad, so I think we should take care of it as soon as possible. So from his office, he calls the scheduler, and he's like, you know, can we see her before we go on vacation? Because, you know, all of Europe basically shuts down the month of August. Everybody goes on vacation. And so he's like, do we have any open spaces? And so they're like, yeah, we have one for like the second to the last day where they leave. So he scheduled me in, and I was all like, okay. So he goes, you know, what kind of insurance do you have? And I told him, and he said, okay, that one pays for the monofocal lens. You know, I was just a little fuzzy about what that was. One of my sisters had had it done not too long ago, but she's like, you know, 10 years older than me. So I'm like, you know, I'm not ready for this. But he's like, we'll go and get the insurance company prior authorization, we'll call them. Well, the operation was like within 10 days. And so they sent the information over to the insurance. And the insurance needed some more stuff from them. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, this is their way of not paying for the procedure anyway. So she asked me, the secretary asked me, what are you going to do if they don't pay? So I'm like, well, we have no choice. He says it's really bad, and he had to come out, and he had to do the surgery. So I guess we'll pay for it if we have to. And so she's like, okay, let's just see what they say first. By the time the surgery came through, I had to do a COVID test because, you know, for every procedure now you have to do the COVID test. And since I didn't have the authorization at that point, I paid the €150 cash price for the test, which I didn't mind. So 2 days later, I had to go in for the cataract surgery. Boom. It was scheduled for like that afternoon. I went in, I had to do the drops before that. And it went fine, you know. So we come out and, you know, we go to the secretary. We're like, okay, we need to pay for this because the insurance hasn't approved it yet. And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll call them, and they haven't called, you know. We'll see what they say. And I'm just like, what? You know. The next day when we went to check on the eye, the doctor wanted to see me just to make sure that everything was still going okay. The next day after we were done, I went to see the secretary again, and she probably was like, why are you bugging, you know? But I was all like, okay, did you hear from them yet? I mean, because now I've done the operation, and I still haven't heard from them. You haven't heard from them. She's like, don't worry about it, we'll call them again. Well, they went on vacation, you know, and now they're shut down till the end of August. And they still hadn't gotten the okay from the insurance. And 2 days after they shut down, I get an email from the insurance company saying your prior authorization is ready, and you can, you know, print it out and you can give it to the doctor. But we also sent them a copy of this email, so they have it. And I was just like, when would this have happened in the US, where they actually have you do a surgery that, by the way, costs anywhere from $3,500 to $6,500 for what I've had done? Where would they let you walk out the door without securing any sort of payment, not even a credit card on file, nothing. Like I paid zero. And I thought, okay, maybe the insurance was going to bill us, because basically when you get the insurance, you either pay the whole year up front or you pay monthly like we do, where they deduct it from the bank account. And so basically they deduct our co-pays along with the 78 euros that we pay, and then if we went to see the doctor and it was 12 euros or whatever, so that month it would be the 78 plus 12, so it would be 90 euros that they would deduct. So I thought they would deduct like this $59, which was the amount for the cataract surgery, half the price of the US anyway. So they didn't. They just were waiting for the authorization, just like we were. So now I've got the authorization in hand, for when they open back up. And they even gave me an authorization for the COVID test, so I can still get my refund for the 150 euros that I paid. And they also gave me the authorization for the second eye at the same time, as well as the COVID test for that. So it's been really easy to use, and a lot of the doctors there, their English is not perfect, but they definitely try. So it's been like, me describing what's going on in Spanish, and Federico there to help me, and they try to speak to me the few words that they know in English. So I've been really happy. Everybody's been really helpful, and private insurance just feels like it's great. I mean, there are some pre-existing conditions that they don't pay for. Those ones you would have to check and to see, some of the pre-existing conditions they'll start paying for maybe after a year after you have the insurance. But it depends on what company it is. But the one we have, we're really happy with them. We haven't had any problems anytime we've used them. And it actually makes you think, why have you been so hesitant to go to the doctor? Because it's not going to put you in the poorhouse like back in the US. So we've been really happy, and I am so glad that we chose to live here. It's just one of the many reasons why we love living in Spain. Now, as you can see, my eye looks good and I can see out of it, and I'm so happy with the job that they did. And I can't wait to get the other one done, because it wasn't as bad as I thought at all. It was really stress-free. Probably because my sister had just recently had it done, and so she told me what to expect, and so I wasn't too scared. So healthcare in Spain is wonderful, and from the price, the 78 euros for the bottom of the barrel plan, it's just marvelous that we can pay so little and get such great care. And I don't know why people fight it in the US so much, why they don't want to go towards a system like this where everything is taken care of and you can have proper medical health. Now, here, if you have pre-existing conditions and you're over 75, you may not get insurance coverage from a private healthcare company, in which case you would have to use the Spanish health system, and they cannot turn you down, basically. If you've been refused by the insurance company, they will take you on. The only thing that people complain about is that sometimes it's a long waiting period, but you still get the proper care. I don't know, because I've never used it. So we've always had the private healthcare. So I can't speak on that. What I can speak on is the fact that the healthcare, the Spanish healthcare through the private insurance is absolutely fantastic. I hope this helps clear or settle your mind a little bit, and you know what to expect from private health insurance in Spain. You know now how much health insurance in Spain costs. And so the 78 euros plus is for two of us. And if you're single, you can expect to pay anywhere from like 40 to 50 euros a month for health coverage, full-on health coverage. So it's nothing to be scared of when you're calculating how much the cost of living is. Now in the next video, since we've done the car insurance costs, hopefully you've seen that one. If you have not, I'll put it right around here so you can see it, or below. We've also done the grocery price that we spend on a weekly basis. I've already done that video, so I'll put that down there too. And the next one, we're going to put it all together and show you how much we spend on a monthly basis living in Valencia, Spain. So hopefully you'll stick around for that and come back to watch. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others. And also consider subscribing to the channel. We would definitely appreciate that. Thank you, and we'll see you later.